right, what's up everybody? It's Michael with McAfee Home Group. We are in our office today and we are joined by Kelham Brown.
How are we doing, Michael?
It's good. Glad to be in the new year.
It is. It was a great new year. Got to spend it with some friends and family, and now we get to start hitting those 2022 goals.
Yeah, and that's going to transition into what we're talking about today, and that is the importance of goal setting. So how'd you do with your 2020 goals?
I was very
2021.
2021. We're gonna do that. I'm gonna do like the one and then turn it into a squiggle on paper for the first couple months. It was good. Helped about 70 families. Almost ellipsed my $10 million goal for volume, but it was a great year.
Man,
some new relationships and some great new partners, and thankful to our existing ones for everybody that was a part of it. So it was real good. How about you?
Awesome. It was good. I fell short of my goal by about $180,000.
I was about 226, so I understand that.
It's brutal. You're like, just one more sale. And the brutal thing is I had it set up where I thought I was going to hit it. We were going to close last Friday. I was like, this is it. Super happy. We ended up getting pushed to tomorrow. So it's almost there, but it's not there, so I can't count it.
I totally get it. I had another one similar situation, but I know you and I think the same, and it's just another jump start to our 2022. So
yeah, exactly.
It's not that it doesn't count; it just counts towards the new goal.
Exactly. So I'm starting out, 2022 pretty hot. I just got another deal under contract.
Love it.
And then I've got this one that I double-ended closing out tomorrow. So Beautiful. We're starting off the good year, and we're gonna, tomorrow we're planning on goal setting for 2022.
Absolutely. And so a big part of what you and I get along really well is in that goal setting, and kind of ways that we do that is, I know you personally with the McAfee Group, you and Jake meet on a weekly basis.
Yep. Every week we go over hot pending. And then how we're looking on our goals. We set a certain number of dials that we have to meet every week, and that keeps us kind of accountable. And I think that really helps, especially with being on a team. We get Jake in here, we have Stacy, and just that competition. Even this morning, Jake's back in the office now after he was gone. Stacy's finally back. And we're all sitting there with the number pre-dialed and our fingers sitting by the dial button at 7:59, just waiting for that clock to hit 8 a.m. to be able to yell out first dial.
That's so awesome. See, that's something that healthy competition, and I always think that in an office is one of the main reasons that people need to go back to the offices.
Oh, I agree.
Like, yes, productivity's been up going home, but that friendly competition you can't have with your dog.
Yeah, and I really think it also depends what industry you're in. Because sales is a little bit different because we're fighting over everything. But if you're HR or something like that, I feel like it's not as important to have that competition because you're not striving for a certain goal.
Absolutely, and that was a point I really hoped we would touch on, would be goals outside of financials. What are ways that people can set and try to improve on their spiritual, on their health, on relationships, whether it be as a father, a spouse, a friend. I mean, there are other avenues other than sales, which is a large part of our lives, but it's not the only thing that we do. We've got golf games that we need to improve this coming year. So
that's what the rangefinder's for.
he did get a rangefinder for Christmas, so that was definitely a gift I'm envious of. But
yeah, and I think stuff outside of sales, I think the most important part about setting goals is keeping it realistic.
Absolutely.
I see it day in and day out with people, especially in the the weight loss category and stuff like that. People set the goal so high, and they're like, I'm gonna go from eating pizza every night and eating out every meal to only eating vegan or vegetarian.
Absolutely.
And it works for some people. Very rarely does it work, but it works for some people. But for the most people, it's not gonna work.
No, it is a cold turkey, cutting cold turkey strategy is really difficult. Some people can do it, others can't, and honestly, and I'm not a huge fan of him, but Joel Embiid always says trust the process, and just a little bit over time.
Yeah.
Changing a couple of things, cutting out sugar, cutting out soda.
Soda's a huge one. I personally only drink Diet Pop because I think it tastes better.
Right.
But people don't realize how many empty calories they consume. And if you don't know what an empty calorie is, it's you're wasting your calories on something that's not going to fill you up. It's not food. It's your, sugar in your coffee, your creamers,
Right.
your, sugary pops.
It's all
stuff like
taste
that.
good things.
Exactly.
Which we all love, but
In moderation.
in moderation, absolutely. And so I think especially for those people, and I always hear that the worst time for the regulars at the gym is the first couple weeks because everybody's got their New Year's resolutions and they have to wait for them to drop off. And it doesn't have to be 5-6 times a week.
No.
It could be 2 or 3. If you have a treadmill at home,
hop on it for 5 minutes.
hop on that while you watch an episode, catch up on an episode of something. You can multitask. So
Exactly, and I think that's also a big part of making them realistic is, and I know I do it a lot, is I tend to go in way too strong.
Yes.
And I've done it multiple times where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get back to the gym. I go to the gym, and it's my competitive nature, and I just go super hard in the gym, and then
Yep.
I'm cooked for 2 days because I can't move my body. So
Yes.
like easing back into it, don't go full out like you used to.
Right.
Just ease back into it, lift a couple weights, go running, and then even if you're not extremely exhausted, call it a day.
Right.
Because you want to save yourself for tomorrow to be able to get back in there and have the motivation.
Yep. A great quote one of my coaches had for me back when I was competitively playing was, "You're beating everyone on the couch." If you're doing something, now obviously in a competitive setting, you want to do it efficiently and you want to go hard, and just going and walking through the motions may not be the best, but something's better than nothing.
Yeah,
especially when
exactly.
it comes to those leisurely or competitive goals for weight loss, fitness, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, for a lot of you who don't know, I lost about 70 pounds over the course of 6 months. A couple years back, of course, I've gained a lot of that back being at the office. And I think the biggest thing was just realizing the situation you're in, and you just kind of got to accept it. And I feel like that's a huge part of goal setting also, is accepting the fact that, okay, at first I wasn't able to complete a full mile running, and then toward the end I was doing, 6 miles.
Right.
And it was, I built up to it. It wasn't like, all right, I'm going to go run 6 miles today.
You don't wake up one day and say, I'm going to go run a marathon, and then I'm going to run a 9-second 100-yard sprint.
Exactly.
There's training to be done.
Yeah, you got to build up to things. You're not just going to...
Absolutely.
And that's really what's sticking with it, I think, is the build up. I think that's
Yes.
a huge part, because too many people, they just go all in, and then they're like, okay, yep, 2 weeks
Didn't
later.
work.
Yep, done.
Didn't work. Another one that I always find people is they want to read more, or they want to consume more books, and someone will say, I want to read 100 books this year.
It's not going to happen.
That's
Going
two
from 0
books.
to 100?
0 to 100, literally the example, it doesn't work. So I think one of my personal goals is I want to read 26 to 30 books, about one every 2 weeks. Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's only about 15 to 20 pages a day.
Yeah,
if you
that's
break
not
it
too
down,
bad.
depending upon the size.
Yeah, and I think you also have to, look at your situation and say, like, for me, I mean, you know me, I can't sit still for anything. I
No, you
can't just
can't.
I can't just sit there and read. So what I do is I listen to audiobooks on my
Yes.
drives, because that works for me. You're still technically reading, so you got to modify it some way.
Yeah,
to fit yourself.
There's so many ways that you can fit it to your specific situation, especially like you and I, if we're in between appointments. A 15-minute drive, we can get through half a chapter, a whole
Exactly.
chapter if we speed it up, the 1.25 setting that I put it on because I'm impatient.
yeah, that's brutal, is when they're just super slow at talking and you're just like, kill me. Because then I start zoning out, and then I'm like, 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't listen to anything you just said.
Now you got to rewind. Then you get frustrated, and then you turn it off.
Yep, exactly. Well, I did that with Never Split the Difference.
Yep.
I got a 20-minute drive to work every day, so I just pop it on in the mornings and sometimes on the way home, and eventually I got through it.
Right.
And it's a great book. So anybody out there in sales or anything like that, negotiating, read Never Split the Difference.
He had me read it, and I got a couple things. I loved it.
I actually just used it the other day. My dad was buying some slot machines for the basement.
Nice.
We got a pool table and a couple other entertainment down there. The guy came over, and we were originally at $500, and I was like, all right, you do $440 on them, because you got to set the floor somewhere.
Right.
So you come in, lowball him a bit. He's like, I do, $490 on them. And I'm like, I was like, $460, and he was like, $485, and I was like, $460, and we just sat there in silence for about 2 minutes, and he was like, all right, we'll do $460, and I was like, yeah. So it ended up paying off.
There's the sales coming out right there. Even slot machines. So if you need vending machines, ATMs, McAfee Home Group doesn't only do homes now. We have a side hustle.
I'll do anything.
I'll sell anything.
Exactly. So when you're going to set goals, I want to kind of transition into the industry. When you go to set goals, how do you look at those goals, or do you reverse engineer the numbers from last year, or kind of how do you go about that?
So we track quite a bit, and so I'm kind of reverse engineering those numbers for however many clients we referred in a month, how many conversations we had to have to get them pre-approved, how many conversations it was to get them under contract, with that agent, or if they were working independently, however that was. And then kind of, if I have to do this many calls to get this many referrals, this will then, based off these percentages, will end up in closed and funded deals. So kind of reverse engineered it to a scalable factor of, if I do this many of this is how many of this, all the way down. Oh. So I know a lot of people do that in their own way. They track different things, but that's just how, from a lending perspective, kind of how we've done it is to reverse engineered it like that.
Yeah, no, I mean that's exactly what we do. Again, a couple different variables in there.
Right.
But we go calls. So I think this year I made 7,900 dials.
Yeah,
I'm pretty proud of that.
You should be. That's probably almost 4 times what most people did for the year.
Yeah. So. It was tough to do that, but so I made like 7,900 dials. So my numbers are going to be skewed this year,
right?
Because I made so many dials, and at the beginning it was just calling old expireds who never answered, just blowing their phones up,
right?
So my numbers are going to be a little skewed this year for that dials section,
right.
But then out of that 7,900 dials, I think I got like 1,600 conversations,
right?
So not a lot there, and then from that we go to buyers signed. And then closings.
Right.
So then
So you're just going to take those numbers and, like you said, they're going to be a little skewed. Plus this year, you're going to have more past closed clients.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to make you touch on.
I actually did. I actually just talked to a couple of my clients after Christmas,
nice.
Check in, make sure their holidays went good, make sure they still like their house. I actually called the people that didn't like their first house they got.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys aren't going to call me in a couple months and want to sell again, are you? They're right now.
And they laugh. Exactly.
Exactly. So just keeping that relationship alive, keeping it fun.
Absolutely. And they're not all going to be 10s. They're not all smooth. But, if we did everything we did within our power to make sure the transaction went smoothly, calling on those past clients and making sure they're okay, and if there's anything else they need from us, should be some of the easiest calls that we can make.
Yeah, because you already have that relationship. You have something to talk about.
Absolutely. And then, obviously, if it was one of those amazing transactions we hold ourselves up to, not being afraid to ask for the business.
Oh, yeah, every time I call. And
everybody.
We normally have a 5-10 minute conversation.
Right.
And it's just, hey, I'd really appreciate if you guys know of anybody, send them my way. And they're like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so, top of mind.
Exactly.
Stay top of mind.
So then do you write down your goals? Do you have a program that spits them out?
So a little bit of both.
Okay.
So I have a CRM. It's called Jungo Salesforce. It's kind of the command of the mortgage world through the Salesforce program. And then I have the very elegant Excel spreadsheet. So I'm one of those people that double enters. That sounds super inefficient for people who automate things. I know they're throwing up in their mouth right now. Jake would probably kick me and say that's dumb, but so I'll have an Excel spreadsheet.
So what do you keep in the Excel spreadsheet then?
So the Excel spreadsheet is all of the leads in a month-by-month basis that are referred to the Impact Lending team. Okay. So if you were to refer me to a client, I put their name, number, who referred them. So in this case, it would be Michael. And then if they're pre-approved, if they're under contract, or if they're out looking, or if they're on credit rebuild, whatever the specific situation is for that particular borrower. And then a note section of, last touched on 1-3.
Okay.
Following up on 2-5 credit repair. Or, follow up on Thursdays, pre-approved and looking, ask if there's anybody else, things like that. But always keeping in contact or having a list of, Michael sends me a lead from January. That person reaches back out to me in June. I can go back. I know exactly where it came from. Hey, Michael, John Smith called me back and he's looking to buy a house again. I would reach out. I would make sure he was in your dials for this week. Trying to keep it all,
keep top of mind.
Keep top of mind, and then just keeping track of, where the referral came from. Because, strengthening those relationships, if I can call back in 5 months and say, hey, we've been working on this person that, you may or may not have forgot about, they're pre-approved and looking to buy.
Just like that.
Just like that.
So,
which do you know an agent in Keller Williams that would say no to a pre-approved borrower?
No, I don't.
If they're FHA, maybe we can have a different.
No, actually, little sidebar here. Very proud of this one. Friday, so I met these clients on Monday, last Monday. Had them under contract by Friday at 8 p.m.
Nice.
FHA, multiple offer situation.
Very good.
And we won it.
Look at you go.
Multiple offer, yeah. I was pretty impressed with that one. Great way to ring in the new year too.
Very nice.
So yeah, I'm excited for them. But yeah, FHA is not always bad. You just got to learn how to get creative with the offer.
You do have to get creative. As I say, I'll talk to you off script about that one and see what's going on there. But so, what kind of goals in a real estate setting? Obviously, you have volume, you have transactions, but I mean, are you trying to find other referral sources, insurance agents, divorce attorneys? I mean, obviously, you guys do a lot of your own lead generation.
Yeah.
But what kind of things outside of business are you looking to improve?
So like outside of the actual real estate
outside
business?
of the real estate business.
So something I'd like to get a lot better with is more polished content.
Okay.
This was my first full year really getting behind the camera and all of that. So, I made a couple investments. I bought the gimbal. I bought the Canon that you're watching this on. So a couple of those things just to make my content a little bit smoother and crisp overall, because I would like to take that to the next step.
For sure.
Especially business-wise, creating those relationships with business owners. I've got the ski pole out southwest. I'm going to be doing a video for them next week, so I'm pretty excited about that one. We've done Sweetwater in the past, so just kind of making that filmmaking just a little bit sharper for everything. I would really enjoy to get a little bit healthier. I was on the right track, was pretty committed, and then I got COVID, so that kind of threw a wrench in that one.
Minor setback, major comeback.
Exactly. So we're going to eventually get back to it. The last week was my first full week back in the office. Really didn't have a lot of time to go to the gym. So once we get back on track, and then we got vacation coming up. So a lot of things. I know.
We're not on vacation. We're just prospecting a new area.
Yeah. Business networking. Business networking. We got a lender, we got another agent, and I'm an agent. So it's just some networking.
Absolutely.
We're taking our 2 clients up to go, talk with them.
2 solid investor clients for the future.
Oh yeah, future investments.
That's awesome.
Other than that, I would like to dig a little bit deeper into a little bit of reading. Again, audiobook, because I know for a fact I will not sit down and read a book, so I'm going to be realistic with myself. There's a couple I've been wanting to check out. One of those is the book there that you bought.
I did bring a book, and so we'll make a slight side note. So the coaching group I am with, we are doing a 12-week challenge with the 12-week year. Get more done in 12 weeks than some people do in 12 months. And so this comes with a workbook and kind of a touch point in our podcast here today. It sets out your vision. What do you want that to be in 12 weeks? What do you want that to be in 12 months? What do you want that to look like in 12 years? And so as you read chapters in the book, you'll then go back to the workbook and fill out whatever specific things are covered in that chapter. So the first one is your vision board, and kind of what we've touched on today. Financially, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be spiritually, emotionally? Kind of things that we had touched on. So he got me on his book. Now I'm going to get him on mine, and we're going to compare and see, what ideas coincided between the two. So.
Yeah, well, and there's so many business books out there. It's so hard to narrow it down to like what's good and what's not. Because
these are the 3 books you should read. These are it.
Yeah.
All content's good content.
Exactly. And I think, that's, pivoting into the self-help world is there's a lot of just bull out there.
Right.
I went down that road when I went on my weight loss journey, and, some other stuff going on in life, and you kind of get to it and you realize like all these people are saying the same thing.
Right.
And really the biggest thing is just go out there and do it. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to come help you do it. You just have to kind of get up and realize, all right, we're going to do this.
Right.
And
you have to make a conscious decision every day. And it's, do you want to wake up before 7 o'clock? Do you want to go work out at 5 a.m.? Do you want to, whatever that may be?
It's just doing it. I mean, it's and I've watched so many videos on it and read so much, and eventually it just kind of flipped in my brain, and I was like, they're all saying the same thing, which is just go out there and do it.
Right.
And it sounds super easy, but it's not always super easy.
No.
And something that's really helped me with that is I have a 3-second rule.
Okay.
So if there's something I don't want to do, like cold shower, because I take cold showers every once in a while.
Uh-huh.
You sit there, you look at it, and go 3, 2, 1, and then you go.
Just do it.
And what it does is it tricks your brain. It doesn't allow your, because when you don't want to go do, say you're at the bar and you don't want to go talk to that group of girls over there because you're nervous.
Right. You let your brain dissect every horrible thing that could happen.
Exactly.
Whatever could happen if you just go.
Yep. 3,
Make
2,
that
1,
video.
boom, go. And that's exactly what I did when I got into content was, all right, 3, 2, 1, we're going, boom,
Right.
and that's it. It doesn't give your brain time to talk yourself out of it and think of every horrible way of which this conversation could go, or how terrible this cold shower is going to be.
Right. I think one of my favorite ones is when people tell me that they don't want to do content. I'll ask them, well, why? And they're like, well, I don't like what I sound like. I'm like, well, unless you got a lot.
You get used to it.
Yeah, you get used to it. How old are you? Yeah, you've sounded that way since you were about this age. And they're like, well, I don't look like what I look like. I'm like, well, then just do a sound over until you do your makeup the next day. I'm like, you look like what you look like.
Exactly.
And you sound like what you sound like. If you have something of value, the people who are going to watch are going to watch us.
Exactly. And you're always going to have, the haters out there.
Right.
And even then, my biggest word was like, my friends are going to roast me. And
mine do it every single time.
They did it for like the first, 2, 3 videos I posted, and now it's like, oh, your videos are getting better. Oh,
Right, exactly. All my buddies do that all the time. I think I posted a video 6 months ago about something. They're like, why in the world would you wear that shirt? And I'm like,
it just means you're watching.
This is my shirt. I'm like, thanks for the view.
Yeah.
And they were very confused when I'm like, thanks for the view. I'm like, you don't care that I'm like, no, I don't care.
No, you're watching my content, and it resonated enough with you to
clicked
reach
on
out. Exactly.
You reached out to me. That's a win.
Exactly. So I would like to see some more content from Kelham Brown this year.
I have it in.
Do you have your goals this year?
I do have my goals for this year. I'm going to do at least 52 videos.
Okay.
So 1 a week is the minimum. I have about 15 recorded so far, so that they're all automated. I did automate that part. So they're going to start going out.
Your metrics.
Yes, I do have to increase. I do have to look at the metrics on those.
The metrics on those, because I've thought about using those with how much content we put out. It does hurt the metrics with having it automated to go
Does
out.
it really?
Yes.
Well, I guess I'll just automate it by, hey, post it this time. Okay, go grab video. But so for somebody not in sales, what would be a way that you think would be beneficial to somebody to scale their goals? Because being a better husband or friend doesn't exactly have achievement marks.
Yeah.
Or, things like that.
Yeah, so sales-wise, I think it's really important to have your stepping stones. So when I originally got into real estate, my goal was $1 million for the entire year. I hit that. My next goal was, okay, I'm going to quit college. If I can hit $2 million, double my volume in about 3 months, if I can hit $2 million by July. Hit that. And then me and Jake sat down and we're like, all right, what do we want the next goal to be? I was like, and again, this is in July, so I had less than a half a year to do, more than what I've done all year.
Right.
And I was like, 5 million. Just threw it out there. I really didn't think I was even going to get close to it, but I was like, 5 million. And, I think having that stepping stone of, all right, we're at 1 million. I just did what I thought I'd do in a year, so pretty impressed.
Right.
I hit that 2 million. I was like, okay, I'm getting a little bit more confidence.
Right.
Things are looking uphill. I'm starting to, get my skills. And then, that 5 million, which I fell short of by little bit, but it just builds that confidence, and then it gives me that drive for next year. So I think having those stepping stones, because you don't want to I didn't want to come out and say, yeah, $5 million for the first year, and I haven't sold anything come in January, and then $5 million for the first full year, because it doesn't give me the stepping stones to get there.
I totally agree, and I like what you said in the beginning about realistic goals.
Yeah,
because I do genuinely believe setting bodacious, out there goals is important. Because if you don't dream, you're just, what are you working for? I hit another 10 million. I hit 5. It becomes monotonous.
Yeah.
Say 30 million next year, and if you do 25, okay, I was 5 short. But if I would have said I did 10 next year and you only did 7, why sell yourself short?
Exactly.
You have the realistic goals are those markers, like you said. You hit 1, then you hit 2, you take another look at it, it was 5. But for this year, and I'm not asking you this personally, but like, what is the 12-month goal of doing 20 million next year?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, like you said, you gotta have those stepping stones.
You have to have the stepping stones. Those are the confidence builders that you would have never quit college if you didn't hit 2 million in July.
Exactly.
But again, you wouldn't have said 5 if you didn't have the confidence that you already hit 2 goals this year.
That's really true. It just builds up that confidence, and then it allows you to, set that little bit out there. Like, again, 5 million I don't think was super far out there, but I think it was like a far enough reach where I was like, all right, we got to get serious.
Yeah, for where you were in July to now, that you fell just short, shows you how realistic that goal was. Even if then it sounded like,
it sounded pretty out there.
It sounded really out there.
From going from 1 million for my full first year to 5, I was like, that might be a little tough. But I mean, I fell short by 180 grand. I mean, that
shows you how realistic actually it was. So now you take that for your 2022 planning and say, okay, if I hit these markers in this amount of time, this end goal is very possible.
Yeah.
And then if you blow it out of the water, it's bonus on the cake. But if you say, this really high goal, and again, fall a little bit short of that, you blew it out of the water.
Yeah, you still got that win. I think that's really important too. Is not setting your goals too low.
No.
Because I mean, if you're smashing your goals, you're not doing something right.
Right.
I mean, again, my $1 million marker, I didn't have anything to go off of.
Threw it out there.
Exactly.
It's a number.
Like, boom. I was like, I think that'd be fun. It has a nice ring to it.
Million. Million sounds great.
Yeah.
I love that number.
So I think setting that goal, high enough to where it's somewhat achievable.
Yes.
And if you're close to it or past it, great.
Right. Absolutely.
And that being that $180,000 short, that just set a fire in me.
Right, and now that's motivation.
I was like, are you kidding me?
It's going to drive us insane until next year. So that's why in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to shatter this year's goal because I'm going to be so competitively ticked off about not doing it last year. I'm going to make sure that we do it this following year.
Exactly. And I think that's, tracking it is super important. We track every conversation, every dial, every appointment set, and then just being able to look at that and say, okay, I need to go on 10 for sale by owner previews to get 1 listing.
Yeah.
So then I go on 10 and, I'm
one appears.
Exactly.
If I go on
it's just like that. It's like magic. It's like, boom.
It is magic. That's what the scalability and the tracking is for, is like, okay, if I have 5 conversations, if I go to 5 realtor meetings, I'm going to get 2 of those realtors to hopefully send me a referral in the next 30 to 60 days. If they agreed with, we know, like, and trust one another, and we have the same ideals of doing business. If I go on 5, I should get 2. So that means if I go on 50, I should get 20.
Exactly.
It's like, it's not magic, it's math.
Oh, 100%.
Most people don't like math. So.
No, I'm not a big math. I'm not a big math.
He sends the math over to me.
Exactly. I just go, here you go, Kelham. I'm like, yeah, you should probably talk to your lender about that one. I'm not too
That's
sure.
a lender question.
Yeah. I had somebody ask me this morning something. I was like, yeah, you should probably talk to the lender about that. They'll get you right on that one.
That's amazing. I love those conversations.
Exactly. And, another one of my goals this year is to network. I joined during COVID.
Yep.
So I don't really know that many agents, again, with my listings. And I think I've done a really good job of getting myself out there for as much as I could this year.
Right.
And listings really help with that because people see your face, people are calling. That has helped build out my name somewhat.
Right.
And then also working with buyers, doing a great job with that has helped put me into some agents' eyes of, hey, did a deal with him, went really smooth.
Right.
But actually getting out there, hitting up some of the real producer events, I think would be awesome.
Absolutely.
And just, getting more involved with KW. I think
Yep.
that would help. Just a lot of stuff to get out there and kind of get my name around, meet other agents, meet other lenders, insurance people, all that fun stuff.
You think you're going to do YPN this year?
I have no clue what that is.
Really?
No.
I believe it's Young Producers Network. Hold on, let me fact check. Hold on, never mind. Phone's over there. Set over there for the podcast. I would get a hold of Wendy France from Century 21. She, I know, is on board. Jonathan Morales is the insurance rep. Patrick Harris also was for a little bit there. So yeah, let me get you in touch with those people. It's another networking group that I was in last year, and then kind of with COVID, we had to alter some things, but that was a good place where I started in the beginning and met a lot of really great people, was the YPN network.
Yeah, might have to check that one out.
Yeah.
My problem is like, it depends when they do them, because
yes,
there's sometimes where I'm like, yeah, I'd love to go to that, but you're doing it on a Wednesday at 5 p.m.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of tough for me to make that work.
Right.
And then something always comes up every single time. Like, I wanted to go to the Real Producer Christmas party.
Yes.
And then I got COVID.
And then you got COVID.
Yep. So I'd like to work in more of that, get my face out there, get my name out there. That's also what kind of content does, but it's still, face-to-face would be nice.
Right. Face-to-face, they know the content, so it's a warm hello.
Exactly.
Hey, I saw your video last week. Yeah, it's great to meet you.
That's the greatest feeling in the world. I love it when people, already know me, or they're like, oh yeah, watch all your content. Greatest feeling.
I think we said on the last podcast that when we were at lunch, there was a girl from high school who hadn't talked to you in 3 years, and she knew exactly what you were doing. You're like, yeah, real estate's great. I'm doing everything I can. Just I was with a celebrity. I was like, yeah, okay, that's little people.
I can barely go out anymore.
That's why you don't go out. Yep. Take up fishing.
Autographs. Send some autographs.
I love it.
So what are some other goals outside of real estate that you're looking at hitting?
I also want to get back into fitness. I have gone from when I was in college, I was at 230 for playing competitive college basketball, got down to 200, and then I've gained 15 pounds of in between. I'm not sure what it is. It went right to back here, so I'm not sure if I want to lose it, but we're going to tone it all up. So I am going to start getting back in the gym, so I'm going to go at least 3 lifting sessions, and then I at least go play basketball, just open gym 2 or 3 times a week anyway. Okay. So I have the cardio in. I just need to kind of get the diet and the
diet's the biggest part.
The diet is the biggest part. That's the hard part.
90% diet, 10% the exercise you do. That's what I've learned the most. It's kind of insane how much the diet plays a role.
I need to plan out my meals. Maybe not meal prep so much, but I will frequently skip breakfast, and then we'll go through our appointments through the day, and I'll look up. I'm like, it's 3:30. I'm like, I haven't eaten today, and then I eat at 3:30. And then I don't get home until 7 or 8:30 from doing other things. I'm like, oh crap, eating at 9, and then it all snowballs.
Yeah.
And so, fitness is definitely one. I definitely want to start more with the content as well.
Love to hear it.
Gonna get on more content this year. Some more stuff has already gone out this year so far.
Yeah, I've seen you posted quite a bit in the past
it's all photos though, no videos.
Hey, you got to start somewhere.
Baby steps. We talked about that earlier. Baby steps. So, I think probably one of my biggest goals for next year is that I hope, and I think you and I had talked about this earlier, that you and I want to buy our first properties next year, whether that be a multi-unit or my own personal. I think I am finally going to I won't say bite the bullet, but pull the trigger on getting my own house so that I can start accruing all of that equity we talk about and kind of putting some money where my mouth is.
No, that's awesome.
So I think that would be awesome. If I could do that before the end of the year, that would be a big one for me. I would say those would be my big ones. I have a couple more. I'd have to reflect back to the sheet I wrote them all down on, but those would be probably my top 3.
Yeah, I think buying a house
outside of business. I think buying a property and starting getting some things in the game.
Yeah, then you won't be a hypocrite like me. Selling houses and not own your own house.
I say that all the time. It was like, yeah, where do you live? I'm like, I live over there in the 00.
No, I get it. So, what's one thing, we'll wrap it up here.
Yep.
What's one thing you would leave people with for setting their new goals this year?
I would say that you should focus on a couple goals at a time. I would not say get financial, spiritual, educational, fitness. Start small. Because like you said, you're going to get burnt out if you try to tackle all of it at once. It's like when you have a busy day and you feel overwhelmed. If you just take it one thing at a time, you feel way more whelmed. Not sure if whelmed is the right word.
We'll fly with it.
We'll work with it. So you'll feel more whelmed. Not overwhelmed, not underwhelmed, whelmed. Little baby steps, because as you gain traction, it will be harder to quit. And then you can start adding on bigger, more intimidating things, because like you said, you accomplish those goals, then you get to build up that confidence.
Okay, this is starting to work. I see a difference. And then you're like, let's try this out.
Let's try this out. And then you can start trying something. You can branch out. You can take on more as you solidified, starting with pictures. Then I can start going to video. Then I can start boosting posts so people see them. We start implementing things. But that's what I would tell people is start small, confidently, and grow at your own pace. You're not competing against other people.
Yeah.
You're only competing against yourself.
No, I agree. I think that's a great one. Mine's, pretty similar, which is just be realistic with yourself.
Yep.
Set realistic expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym 7 times a week and
it's not
all this, because you're not going to do it. And
I'll call the BS on that one.
Exactly. I've been there. I've done it. Everybody's done it. Everybody's like,
we've all done it.
You're laying in bed at 11 at night and you're like, I'm going to change my life. And then you wake up the next morning and you're like, yeah, I don't think so.
So many times. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow and I'm going to
go run.
Snooze.
Yeah, exactly.
Snooze, can't, nope.
So I think just being realistic with yourself and what you're capable of, and then like you said, work your way up from that.
Mm-hmm.
So, set it small, hit the next one, and then, really start going out there. Once you've hit a couple of goals, you get some self-confidence, then you're feeling yourself and you're like, all right, let's do this.
I love to hear it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming out today, and we'll have to do this again.
We will as well. Have a good one, everybody.
See ya.